The WNBA's countdown clock does not care about unfinished business. In 5 short days, when every training camp jersey is handed out and the last duffel bag thuds onto a locker room bench, Chennedy Carter could be the most explosive scorer watching from her living room couch. That possibility is astonishing if you remember how loud her name echoed on draft night 2020, how often coaches scribbled double teams into scouting reports, and how Chicago fans leaned forward whenever she slashed through a crowd. Yet here we are, spring 2025, and the league's most electric free agent is fielding more memes than contract offers. What went wrong? A single shoulder check may have started the avalanche, but the deeper story is a slow-burn thriller about talent, trust, and timing, with Carter stuck in the middle of a storm she helped create. June 1st, 2024 felt routine until it wasn't. Third quarter in Indianapolis, the Fever nursing a slim lead, cameras glued to Caitlin Clark, rookie superstar, human ratings magnet, and the reason scalpers were hawking nosebleed seats for triple face value. Carter, rocking a sky jersey and the swagger that made her Texas A&M royalty, drained a silky jumper from the left wing. Instead of backpedaling into Chicago's defensive scheme, she pivoted and sliced cross-court. Every coach teaches a player to retreat in a straight line, eyes on the ball. Carter's eyes fixed on Clark instead. One heartbeat later, her shoulder detonated into Clark's ribs. The sound, half gasp, half collective woe, rippled through Gainbridge Fieldhouse. The whistle shrieked, Clark hit the hardwood, and 30 seconds of replay rewrote Carter's reputation. At first, officials signaled a common foul. On the Jumbotron, slow motion told a harsher truth. Carter never glanced at the ball. She snarled something the mics couldn't quite catch, planted her left foot, and surged into Clark with intent as obvious as a billboard. The refs huddled, ruled a flagrant one, and every commentator with a mic launched into stunned analysis. Clark, grimacing, rose without complaint. No cheap shot shoved back, no theatrical flop, just that stoic Midwestern stare and a brisk jog to the free throw line. By midnight, the clip had eclipsed 1 million views. By morning, debate shows were devoting entire C blocks to 2 seconds of shoulder contact. Was it a villain's birth or just playoff-style toughness? Whichever side you took, the league noticed the noise, and the noise was deafening. Noise is fuel and fire. For Clark, it burned bright and positive. Endorsements, talk show invites, new fans discovering the W's highlight reels. For Carter, it became smoke she couldn't outrun. She tried at first a terse post-game refusal to explain, a social media blackout, a promise that she'd let her game do the talking. Silence can be strategic, diffusing a controversy that feeds on fresh quotes. But in the algorithm age, silence becomes its own headline. Influencers stitched the clip to lectures on sportsmanship. Casual fans labeled it a cheap shot. Even hashtag WNBA Twitter, usually split on every issue, found rare consensus that Carter had crossed an unwritten line. It wasn't her first volatile chapter. Drafted 4th overall by the Atlanta Dream, Carter burst onto the scene averaging nearly 17 a night, fearlessly barreling into the paint against veterans twice her size. Yet by her sophomore year, she was suspended indefinitely for what the Dream called conduct detrimental. Rumors swirled, shouting matches in practice, friction with coaching staff, a locker room scuffle that never quite made it on camera. LA picked her up, LA let her go. Chicago bet big, and statistically, the wager paid off. 17.5 points per game, league-leading drives, a genuine contender for 6th Player of the Year. Chicago also witnessed the Clark hit firsthand. When free agency opened, the Sky front office declined even a qualifying offer, effectively saying, take your talent elsewhere. It was a quiet move that spoke louder than any press release. Why so drastic? Context. The summer of 2024 morphed into a perfect storm of opportunity for the WNBA. Clark's arrival kicked television ratings into orbit, corporate partners inked multi-year checks, and suddenly the league was fielding mainstream coverage that once seemed unreachable. Execs, agents, and sponsors realized public perception could accelerate or stall the sport's long-awaited leap. In that environment, Carter's shoulder check looked less like a hot-headed foul and more like a direct threat to the league's new golden narrative. Protecting stars isn't just about fairness, it's business. Every front office asked the same uncomfortable question: could signing Carter jeopardize sponsors, alienate casual viewers, Or worst of all, spark another viral controversy at Clark's expense? Risk-benefit math quickly tilted to pass. For nearly 10 months, Carter kept her head down. There were glimmers of life on Instagram, workout clips, cryptic lyrics and captions, the occasional highlight of a vintage 40-point college game. But no apology, no interview, no attempt at a clean slate narrative. Publicists will tell you that a controlled mea culpa can flip a storyline overnight. Crisis managers say the longer you wait, the harder the climb back. Yet Carter waited, and the vacuum filled with speculation. She must be unrepentant. She blames Clark. She's done with a W. None of those theories carried proof, but absence of proof is social media's favorite canvas. Then came April 20th, 2025. Off-season streams rarely make headlines, but 300,000 viewers logged onto Twitch that Friday because the host was N3 On, a viral gamer known for chaotic banter and accidentally coaxing athletes into eye-opening confessions. Carter appeared in a hoodie and that trademark half-smirk, ready, it seemed, to break the silence. Only, instead of a measured statement, she delivered a roller coaster she'd been elbowed first. The replay showed no such elbow. It was merely a little tap. Clark was a great player she respected, and haters were gonna talk regardless. She even compared Clark's star power to LeBron James's in year 3. The contradictions were immediate fodder. Within minutes, side-by-side TikToks showed Carter's denials next to the hip check. Commenters typed digital eye rolls, revisionist history 101. Girl, we got receipts. Just say sorry. If Carter expected a redemption arc, she got a sequel to the firestorm instead. Across the country, general managers sipped evening coffee and paid attention. Accountability matters to locker room chemistry. Coaches preach it, owners invest in it, and veterans sniff out hypocrisy faster than coaches can hold heartfelt meetings. Carter's refusal to dish a direct apology amplified the biggest fear, that she still saw herself as misunderstood rather than culpable. Throw that attitude into a roster juggling rookie egos, veteran pride, and playoff pressure, and you may have a chemistry experiment set to explode. Meanwhile, the clock kept bombing. April 27th is the W's unofficial line in the sand. Once camp starts, teams carry 14 or 15 players, knowing they must trim to 12 before opening night. Fringe roster spots disappear first, but even late-cut vets got their invitations weeks prior. The fact Carter hasn't been offered so much as a 10-day tryout screams how radioactive her brand has become. Remember, this is a league where elite offense is a scarce resource. Guards who can create their own shot, especially in the half-court, are gold. Carter can do that blindfolded. If the phone still isn't ringing, then tangible baggage must weigh tons. Some fans counter that Carter is being sacrificed on the altar of marketing. They argue the league wants a pristine image, and one inconvenient personality spoils the Cinderella story. They point to other sports where bad boy reputations coexist with TV deals. They cite Liz Cambridge, whose high-octane persona and occasional controversies did not prevent multiple franchises from signing her, or compare to men's leagues where flagrant elbows rarely derail entire careers. Yet context is everything. Cambridge delivered 6'8" dominance at a time when no other center could match her size and skill. Carter, while dazzling, is a 6-foot guard in a league suddenly flooded with sharpshooters and creative point forwards. If the upside is replaceable and the downside threatens brand equity, front offices choose peace. Still, the numbers scream for her inclusion. Carter ranks in the 95th percentile for isolation efficiency and led all guards last season in paint touches per minute, stat categories coaches salivate over when games grind into half-court slugfests. She finished above league average from the left elbow, shot a lethal 42% on pull-up twos, and created more and ones than any bench guard. Tape doesn't lie when Carter decides to get downhill. Defenders retreat like dominoes. That's why her absence feels surreal. How does a walking bucket go and sign in a league starved for scoring depth? The answer circles back to trust. Coaches can scheme around weaknesses, but rarely around a powder keg. Behind closed doors, Carter supporters pitch a redemption plan, sign her to a non-guaranteed deal, put behavioral clauses in the contract, pair her with a veteran mentor. Executives nod, then glance at the Fever's schedule, the national doubleheaders featuring Clark, the sponsorship activations, the in-arena LED boards selling WNBA. The future is now. One mistimed shove could risk all that momentum. It isn't fair in a cosmic sense. Leagues are rarely fair. Markets reward predictability over potential drama, especially when drama once knocked their brightest star to the floor. Carter could pivot overseas. Turkish clubs would pay handsomely for a scoring guard who doubles ticket sales overnight. Eurocup squads crave American talent that could drop 20 a night and sign autographs for young fans still learning English. A season abroad might give her highlight reels full of dagger buckets against Fenerbahce and Avenida, plus the space to craft a thoughtful "I've grown" essay for next winter's free agency cycle. The WNBA calendar is unforgiving but not final. Plenty of players return from Europe with polished games and polished reputations. Yet time abroad also means fading from U.S. headlines while Clark, Boston, Ionescu, and Reese claim front-page real estate. Out of sight can morph into out of mind. Her agents, in whispered reports, are torn. One camp urges a public apology, an ESPN sit-down, tears if they come naturally, a direct acknowledgement, I cheap-shot Caitlyn, I was wrong. Another argues that leaning into the heel role could attract a franchise hungry for publicity. Controversy sells, after all. The problem with being the villain is sustaining performance. If Carter drops 20 nightly, fans will boo with grudging respect. If she slumps, the boos turn to laughter, and GM patience evaporates. The villain arc also collides with the league's evolving culture. The W of 2025 leans heavily into empowerment, collaboration, and brand partnerships carpeted in pastel slogans about sisterhood. A player who body-checked the flagship star doesn't fit the brochure. Think of it like casting a family blockbuster. You could insert a charismatic anti-hero, but you wouldn't hire one with a reputation for tackling co-stars on set. Hollywood and sports share a truth. Optics shape payroll decisions as much as talent. Deep down, Carter likely understands every shade of this dilemma. She's savvy. Scroll her college interviews, and you'll see a player who talked X's and O's like a future coach. Off the court, she mentors younger guards in Houston's summer runs. Teammates describe her as fiercely loyal to friends. That makes the June shoulder check harder to reconcile. Was it a split-second flare of competitive anger? Was it months of frustration brewing in a season where her roles shifted nightly? Only Carter knows. What the public sees is refusal to fully own the moment. In a league preaching accountability, perception is reality. There's also the question of peer forgiveness. NBA history is littered with grudges that melted once apologies were traded behind closed doors. The WNBA, though smaller, is no different. Veterans talk. Group chats hum. If Carter texted Clark a sincere apology months ago, no PR spin, just athlete to athlete, that fact could surface, softening edges. Clark has shown she can move on. She dapped up Angel Reese after physical Final Four battles, shrugged off jabs from SEC crowds, and once said, trash talk is part of hoops, but respect is bigger. If Clark were to publicly forgive Carter, front offices might exhale. So far, no such olive branch has reached the public eye, and every day without it fuels whispers that bridge building never happened. TikTok. April 22nd slips into April 23rd. Teams hold final Zoom interviews, and Carter's phone remains silent. She posts a clip of windmill layups in an empty gym at midnight, the echo of the ball punctuating each captionless frame. Comments flood in, some urging teams to wake up, others mocking her predicament. Social media can't decide whether to root for redemption or relish the drama. Carter's livelihood hangs in the balance while the internet treats her saga like binge-worthy reality TV. That disconnect is the modern athlete's tightrope. Your life is content, but each click shapes your life. Another subplot, endorsement calculus. Carter once had a regional sneaker deal. The company quietly pivoted to younger prospects after the hip check. Sponsors crave storylines that feel aspirational. Player seeks vengeance, rarely tests well in focus groups. A contract with minimal endorsements is still money in the bank, but today's athletes build generational wealth by stacking marketing partners. Carter's earnings ceiling shrinks each day. Her name trends for controversy rather than buckets. It's Friday again, April 25th, 2 days until Camp Spark. A rumor leaks on a fan forum. An East Coast contender suffered a minor injury at guard and is discussing internal options. Redditors speculate Carter could slide in. Reporters text sources. Sources respond with ellipses. Nothing firm. Even if a tryout emerges, it won't erase the damage, only postpone the reckoning. Show up, dominate, stay drama-free for a month, and the narrative rewrites itself. Fail a single practice standard, and the narrative freezes forever. Here's the most painful irony. Carter absolutely loves the game. Coaches who clashed with her still rave about her work ethic, the extra reps, the late-night film sessions. If you erase the flagrant, front offices might call her fearless competitiveness an asset. Yet fearlessness without filter becomes reckless. And reckless is the last trait CEOs want stamped on marketing decks. So where does that leave us, the viewers and fans? On the edge of a cliffhanger, rarely scripted so perfectly. We've got a prodigy scorer, a league on a rocket trajectory, a budding superstar in Clark, a controversy aged just long enough to sting but not yet to scar. The next move, an apology, a signing, an overseas deal, will tilt careers and headlines either way. You can't binge the finale on Netflix. You have to wait in real time, refreshing feeds, wondering if push notifications will announce breaking, Carter signs training camp deal. What should happen? That's the question commenters will fight over below this video. Some believe Carter's talent earns a shot. Others argue the league send a message by letting her stew. History says leagues forgive eventually when lessons are learned and profits are safe. The open mystery is whether Carter recognizes the lesson as humility, accountability, or simply needing better PR advisors. Whichever she picks will shape not just her next paycheck, but her legacy. 10 years from now, when highlight packages roll during halftime, will she appear as the fearless scorer who found redemption, or the cautionary tale narrated in hushed tones? And that is why you're still here, 13 minutes into our deep dive, heart tapping faster than when we started. Because sports are human stories, and humans crave drama with stakes. Carter's saga offers everything: triumph, downfall, moral debate, ticking clock. Now the buzzer approaches. Drop your verdict in the comments, villain, victim, or something in between, and smash that like if you believe second chances should be earned, not handed. Subscribe for the follow-up, because we'll be on alert the second her signature dries on any dotted line. Until then, this has been the untold race against time of Chennedy Carter, and the WNBA season is about to start without her.